So, want to take a guess where Sword of Thunder is going to be today? Because I guarantee it's not going to be at the back of the crypt again.
They're going to get it right here.
That'd be awesome. Flight and Thunder. Here we go. Come on, give us the dream. That's fire. That's not what we were looking for. Come on.
Not yet. That's not their guaranteed sword.
That's what they're looking for, but that's not what we're looking for.
I know, but that's not the guaranteed sword. The guaranteed sword comes from the other guy.
Got a little deviation right here off the bat. Tornel opting to pick up a pair of warp boots. Oh, wait, never mind. Looks like Demerine did it as well. Oh, my dog. Look at that. Got a Sword of Thunder right off the...
I am a prophet. Let's just call it right now what it is.
Oh, please. So getting the Sword of Thunder and the Sword of Fire right off the bat means that they have access to Shyren, and Shyren is going to give them access to the western side of the map once they either come up with the Sword of Water and the Ball of Water, or if they get the Flight spell. And there's a lot of checks over there, so they will be very happy to see that. Furthermore, getting the Sword of Thunder gives them a nice spread shot with the level 1 charge shot, so it's great for offensive purposes. It is slightly weaker. Well, it's not really weaker. It's just more that it has, more crowd control, but it doesn't fire as fast. So it doesn't have the same damage output, in like if you were to get the Warrior Ring, for example. But it is really good for crowd control. Looks like we got some more boots in Portoa as well. Tornel's going to go over and check the Queen here and see what his item is from the waterway. Demerine right behind him. So at this point, we're looking for some form of progression, which turns out to be the windmill key, because they actually didn't have any access to any of the cave systems without the balls. The balls are still required to break any of the walls, but having gotten 2 swords right off the bat, they didn't really have access to much, but getting that windmill key, that's going to get them a number of extra checks.
So they're going to get the 3 checks in the cave itself, plus the extra spell-granted location for opening the cave. So a total of 4 checks here. Personally, I think they're probably going to get the Orb of Fire, and it's going to make them go back over to Portoa there, and then check the Waterfall Cave, as well as give them access to Saber West. Which, both options, I like, because that's more
That'd be
checks.
Beautiful. It could be Flight and Ball of Thunder too, which is going to send them towards the backside of Go.
That would be perfect.
Power Ring location, backside of Go. Well. That gives them the Pyramid. That would give them a ton of checks right off the bat. They'd have 2 checks in Hydra. Nope, never mind. Ball of Fire. There it is.
Man, I'm a prophet.
Can you don't?
Maybe.
So Tornel opting not to take a checkpoint here. So if he manages to take a death in this cave, he's going to go all the way back to the other side. Demerine, meanwhile, playing it a little bit safer. She sets a checkpoint right off the bat, and that's going to benefit her if something happens and she takes a death. Now, keep in mind here that, this cave can get pretty dangerous. Demerine was already at half health right off the bat. And, Tornel here has got a little more health than she does, so that's going to benefit him.
There's Fog Lamp, so definitely looks like we might see some water action at some point, but not guaranteed yet.
Dude, I'm always down for water action. Let's do it. Come on, Shell Flute.
Come on, Shell Flute. I want to see that dolphin percent. Let's go. Oh, yo, butterflies. They're your favorite.
Oh, God, there's a lot of them. Oh, eyeglasses. It's definitely pointing us to the ocean. Get out of here, butterflies. Demerine making her way into the second part of the cave. She's going to come across that Shell Flute here real soon. Never mind. There was no more progression. That means Waterfall Cave or Cordell Plains side, Mount Saber South is where we're... Tornel looks like he's going to opt to go ahead and head straight for the Waterfall Cave. I can't blame him for this. It is a couple of quick checks. A little less dangerous than the Mount Saber South side as well.
I really like this play from Tornel. So he actually took the time to sell that ring so he could buy more warp boots. Really smart play because travel early is limited. He also was able to stock up on some medical herbs as well. So really padding himself here with gear. I really like that play.
I mean, granted, he was 2 gold short from a second pair of warp boots, which we all know he actually wanted. The medical herb was a backup. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, completely honest. And he is checkpointing here, so he does know if I find it something I like, we're going. I don't, you got that option to reset it.
Demerine not entirely sure where she wants to go, taking a quick pause break to gather her thoughts. Looks like she's going to wild warp back to Leaf, as opposed to using those warp boots she's got. So we might see a Mount Saber South play in a deviation right off. And that's a key to prison, is the first chest there in the waterfall cave.
So we'll open up a couple of checks there on Saber North, but unfortunately they need some way to get up that slope so they can get to the back. Doing that, however, they're not going to get too far. They can get through the wall, but they can't get through General Kelbesk because they don't have the Sword of Wind. So probably going to put that off for a little while here, even when they get access to that. Meanwhile, Demerine is going that Saber West play, so I'm super excited. We're getting some good deviation here. Tornel is checking the right side of Fog Lamp Cave, which if you do find that Flute of Lime, you're definitely going to maximize the usage here.
Now, you know, as you mentioned, getting access to the Mount Saber North once they get the flight spell with that key to prison, the major problem they're going to run into is that they're going to have to get past Kelbesk. They don't actually have any checks there right off the bat, and Kelbesk is going to require, logically, the Sword of Wind, the Ball of Wind, and the Bracelet of Wind. So there's a lot that we're probably not going to see that play for a good while.
Hold your horses. That's a Ball of Thunder. Now we're excited because now we might see that flight. We might see that full ocean play that we want to see. We might actually get to see that go to far side. We're excited now.
That's going to come down primarily to whether or not Flight is hiding here in the cave or if Demerine has the flight. We'll see.
It's very true. Demerine is going over towards the free item in the grass here, where the Statue of Onyx usually is, and that's the Shell Flute. There's our Ocean Axe.
So that only provides one check at this point. Without the Sword and Ball of Wind, they have no access to Evil Spirit Island, and without Flight, they have no access to Swan. Furthermore, they also do not have the Glowing Lamp and the Broken Statue, which would also be required if Flight wasn't available to get over to Swan side and get that check as well. So not a huge check at this point, but it is an additional item that Demarine's got access to that Tornel is still waiting on.
Speaking of checks, that's Alarm Flute, so that opens up the extra check out on the island using the eyeglasses that we already have. This ocean play is looking pretty good.
Furthermore, that also gives him access to the Windmill Guard, who once Tornel runs over and talks to Zebu, which looks like that's going to be his play right now, he'll have a quick check there to make right there in the Windmill Cave. And that's basically a free item with a small amount of time investment. So I would expect that to be a pretty quick check here from him.
Now, I got a little too excited. Did he reset his paralysis? Did he stay at the end or reset his paralysis? Because he did get sniped. Okay, he did.
Looks like he did. I actually didn't pay attention to that, I'll be honest.
Okay, yeah, he probably stayed in the end then, just to top himself off.
Never mind, he's going to Mount Saber South. Forget it. Forget what I said. He's not going to make the Alarm Flute play. He's going to follow Demerine and head over into Mount Saber South.
I mean, you can't really blame him, though. There are more checks over here in terms of items for density, so it is a good play. And you don't really have a good way of getting back without Warp Boots. But how many times have we found Flight using that dolphin? I mean, it's too many times to count. I would gladly make that.
No. I mean, maybe for you, but that's because you're the master of the dolphin percent. Other people don't have that kind of luck.
Yeah, but you got to remember who rolled the seed.
Right. That really doesn't change it for me.
I know. It is worth noting, Demerine did just get battle armor and then warped out. So she did leave, Demerine did leave the location there at the top of the mountain next to the Wise Man available. So there's one more chest sitting up there.
Well, I can understand the play behind this. She does have access to a couple of other places, and she's going to go for the ocean right off the bat. Not a bad move, because the ocean checks are actually pretty quick here. Having both the Shell Flute and the Alarm Flute, plus being able to get the Waterway, it's 2 quick checks out of the way, and it's really not that bad with the extra pair of Warp Boots she has to get back to Bryn Mawr if that becomes the only play that's left. So I can't really fault her for this, but at the same time, going to the top of the mountain is considerably out of the way. And we'll have to see whether Tornel decides he's going to go to the top of the mountain or if he's going to go ahead and make the same play that Demerine does here.
I feel like Tornel is probably going to go up the mountain all the way, just because he knows that he's got access later. He still has the Ball of Thunder. He might nope out at the battle armor, but I feel like that's not the case. Demerine in the... Ooh. That's paralysis, so that can come into play later. That's actually a really good find.
So interestingly, that doesn't provide any progression right now, and Demerine opting to not go to Joel and activate those eyeglasses. I'm kind of surprised at this because that's a considerable check out of the way, and she didn't get the warp point. So I'm guessing she's going to the waterfall cave. That's her play at this point.
Yeah, because she doesn't have the alarm flute. I can see why Dem's not going up there, but it is worth noting that you mentioned that. Yep, that's
I
the
forgot
case.
that was an insect flute that Demerine had.
Yep.
She has not been to the waterfall cave yet. Good call on that one. I hadn't. I
That
totally
is
forgot about it.
exactly right. So here's the bigger kicker. You just brought it up. We did see in a previous race that sometimes the runners did have to dip into Oak and then make their way back out to fight some trainee that we all know and love to get progression. And I think they might last location that because they're going to try to bank on getting telepathy and getting all the checks.
I would too, I'll be honest. Going to Oak sucks if it's just by itself because it's a long way out of the way just for a warp point if you don't have anything else. And furthermore, going back to Stom, oh, that's a storm bracelet.
Aww.
So nope, that's not the separator yet.
No,
it
but that
might
is a nice
actually be
damage.
that alarm flute. Let's see. Tornel's going to go back to the windmill garden, my guess right now. Demerine, meanwhile, looking to pick her alarm flute up here shortly.
So
we're going to get to see here if Tornel's making the ultimate play here or if it's actually going to be out on Joel.
personally, I don't want anything in either of these two spots, and they have to go to Oak. I want that forced double dip.
Well, that'll make it easier.
Oh, definitely. That'll definitely make it easier. So yeah, he's gonna teleport right over there. He might even sell off his warp boots.
Here's the
I might
deal.
actually.
You also have a 50% of the required items necessary for Mount Saber North. We could see a Saber North play here before long. An early Saber North with the key to the prison and everything would make them think there's a bunch of stuff there, but that key to the prison is still completely useless until they've got a full-on, fully powered Sword of Wind, and we have seen nothing that's indicating that that's going to be anytime soon.
That's very true. Very true. So Demerine did just get their alarm flute, so definitely in the cards here to go back over towards Joel and make those plays that Tornel is doing right now. And he is going to go check the eyeglasses before checking the item in the water there. I do like that.
Demerine is in trouble here because Demerine got paralyzed, and the path that she's taking right now, I don't see any poisonous enemies on the screen. Unless she's got a Lysis plant, she's not going to be making that play very long. Oh, she's got the battle armor on and takes a death. Oh, man. Today's stream is brought to you by the letter F, guys. Let's see some of those in chat here for Demerine. That's a long way out of the way. She's going to have to go back and make both of those checks again. So let's get some of those Fs in chat if we've got them available. 'Cause that's a tough one. That's a bad death right there. Tornel, meanwhile, looks like looks like Joel didn't have a whole lot. And it's gonna be that Oak play he's got to make here. So we'll see what our old boy Stom is hanging on.
Remember, they do have that insect flute, so this isn't just for the teleport point and one check. They've got 2 checks they can do out of here. And the nice thing, too, if they wanted to, the insect is vulnerable to thunder, so Tornel could just have a free field day with it.
Absolutely. So right now, Tornel's got 2 checks available. Looks a little lost here as he's wandering around inside of the forest, not sure of what direction he wants to go. But that bug deciding to body him right before he gets to the boss. Fortunately, he's got a medical herb on hand. And he's going to go ahead and make the play. He does not have enough MP, mind you, to be able to use that thunderstorm. So he's going to be level 2-shotting this. He wishes. Good effort on the 3 charge there, Tornel. Thumbs up.
But it's going to go down really quickly, especially with the scaling. And what does he get rewarded with? A noble statue. So still, no progression. I love this scene. We haven't seen a single mimic. That's the best part. We haven't seen a single mimic. We've had bare bones progression. This is the seed I wanted. I'm so happy about this right now.
Dude, I'm hoping for an early Stixie entry with a 5 of 6 mimic check. That'd be beautiful.
You would actually move me to tears with that, good sir. You would literally move me to tears.
So Stom, go ahead and triggering the war point there, which is actually the trigger that's necessary for him to go and talk to our old boy Stom there. DH Stom sitting in chat. Hello, Stom. How are you? We're going to go pay a visit to you here. And Tornel looks like he's got a pair of warp boots, which means forget you. We're gone. We don't need to fight you. We're going to be out of here real quick. You want to explain that glitch a little bit, Gozen, or are you not sure how it works?
So, basically, what happens is you can use the warp boots to actually warp out of the fight, and apparently when you warp to leave, it counts you as completing the battle and pushing Stom all the way up against the wall, which is normally how you would beat him, and because of that, you sit in the village of Leaf there, as Tornel is going to demonstrate here in just a moment, and from a very far away place, you're just hearing the voice, and you go, oh yeah, you beat him, good job, here's the item, and it's telepathy. Oh, baby!
Called it!
I am so happy right now.
So we got a Saber North play here. So Saber North is going to have 3 checks in not the greatest of, positions here. The first one is close to the entrance. The second one is buried deep in the middle of the mountain. And the third one is going to be all the way at the top by the boss, and it's going to provide them with nothing because they can't do the boss yet. So it's kind of a considerably out of the way play here. And, if you're one of these runners, you're thinking, come on, game, really? We're going to have to go to Saber North? This sucks. Because this is a fairly large backtrack, especially if, the Paralysis location or Kelbesk happens to be holding on to Flight, and they're going to have to go through the front side again and walk all the way back to the top of the mountain. So this could be our dream version of a fantastic double dip.
This seed brought to you by Ghost and God.
The amateur magic seed maker. Tornel hoping that he stepped on the tile somewhere where the trigger point is there, so he actually got the warp point. So believe it or not, the trigger location for warp points in towns actually varies slightly. Most of them, it's on the tile when you actually enter the village, but for a couple of them, like Oak, for example, or Nadare's, or Bryn Mawr, it's actually a couple of tiles in from the entrance. So Tornel walking around there in the center of Nadare's is actually just trying to activate the warp point there so he's able to make this trip back. Because otherwise, if he happens to miss it, he's going to have to go all the way to Bryn Mawr and make this walk back again, and no thank you.
So the nice thing about this is, because of how Demerine routed things, Demerine actually was able to get the alarm flute now, and then go in and do the checks. So now has teleport, got the paralysis spell, just needs to go get the telepathy, and everything will be good.
That's right. So that means that she's going to head out to the ocean here. She's going to check on Joel, which, as we know, didn't have anything special. Then going to check the alarm flute location. Going to have to go back to Bryn Mawr to talk to our old boy Stom there in the hut and, run away from him, because who wants to fight him? I know, I'm more like Mado. I never lose. At least to Stom.
So you just brought up a great point about the ocean. Tornel did just find the broken statue. So we might get a mandatory double dip into the ocean that may potentially lead to a triple dip. And
oh man,
oh dude, this is so good.
The only thing that could possibly be better here is if Flight ends up being on Kelbesk. This could be a dream seed from a commentator and a viewer perspective, because we could have one of these seeds that's going to send them off to the moon and back a couple of times over. And we can't ask for much more than that.
There's the glowing lamp. It has happened. And the nice thing too, this is actually a really nice thing. Saber North here has extremely good enemies to farm on. So we're seeing those wonderful blue zombies that Tornel's killing. We saw the wonderful Medusa enemies that he's able to just mow down with the Sword of Thunder because he's got that bracelet for the maximum damage output right now. Like, and even these flail guys, he's getting everything he wants right now in terms of enemies to fight. Like, look, he's level 7 at scaling 18. That's huge.
Okay, hold on. Stop. No one wants to see flail guys. I don't care if you have the right sword or not. No one wants to see flail guys or butterflies.
No, I want to see the flail guys.
Everyone's exist. No one wants to see flail.
No,
they're when you play this game,
they're huge XP.
You don't want to see flail guys. You know this. Don't give me that.
No, I do.
Liar.
No, I'm not lying to you right now. Like, if I was in Tornel's shoes, I'd be extremely happy to see those because I've got insane XP potential. Like, look, he's level 7 at scaling 18. When's the last time you've done this, Patrick?
When I got a warrior ring right off the bat.
That's the only time you do that. And they've got the love pendant, so now the paralysis check is in play too.
You're actually right, because normally I do not. If I was at scaling 19, I might be level 1 or 2. I don't grind until I get to a certain point. So there have been really lucrative enemies, not gonna lie. There's been a lot of enemies they can push. I will push enemies whenever they're easy to push, like tigers or plants, zombies, things like that. If there's a lot of easy enemies to push, I'll gladly push them around. But our runners here, they're not comfortable with pushing enemies like I am. I mean, I've learned how to time swings from speedrunning this game for years. But not everyone in the tournament has. So when you get a huge amount of enemies that are nice and feel good... Oh, Demerine forgetting her gas mask. That's going to deal some damage. But yeah, when you can push enemies... and they're not threatening to you, that is the fastest experience you're going to come across because it keeps you moving without stopping. Tornel, meanwhile, making his way onto the ocean, he's going to drop his golden statue in there. We're going to find out what the barrier spot holds right.
Okay, so Tornel needs to do the one check that he forgot, which was go check the love pendant location because he doesn't have paralysis.
Realizing he now has access to Swan, he's going to go ahead and make the check here real quick. But he's going to have to double check and go get that paralysis spell that he missed out on. So he does have the love pendant, but he's thinking, what kind of progression do I not have? Well, simple. Go find it. Demerine, meanwhile, making her play on the giant insect, getting harassed by this green mosquito. Just for a little bit of trivia here about this game, that mosquito is far more dangerous than the giant insect himself. That mosquito does you die damage. You do not want that.
Fun fact, you die damage is an accurate measurement. I know from firsthand experience.
Yeah, so in the base game, when you normally fight that guy during a speed run, the mosquito actually does 50% of your health with a single shot, whereas the giant insect does about 33% with a single shot. So that green mosquito floating around there is far more. Tornel, meanwhile, going and rescuing the child here, coming across Dio's pendant, and there is our Sword of Wind. However, we still don't have a baller bracelet, so it almost doesn't matter at this point. He still has got to go and find that paralysis spell.
I mean, we know where the ball is at this point. He just needs paralysis.
So, Gozen, where was that paralysis location again? What is Tornel missing at this point?
He needs to take his wonderful dolphin friend and go back into the canal. Check that.
Oops, we forgot the love pendant location. Demerine is on a mission, though. Look at this. Haha, we might have a Tornel spot here before long.
I think he might have remembered.
Let's take a look. Did he remember?
I'm gonna say yes.
We're gonna hope no.
I think he's doing it.
It looks like it, though.
Yeah, he's doing it.
Almost a new Tornel spot. There it is. Now he's got some progression. Go, go, go! Demerine here playing slightly from the rear. Even though Tornel there forgot about a couple of locations, Demerine is able to make up some ground here, so only a little bit. Even though the actual speed of play for Demerine has been slightly slower than Tornel's, the actual routing itself has been pretty on point, so no problems there. And that's a flight spell. Look at that. Kensu with the love pendant holding on to flight. Can you get out of here, Kensu? You never have anything. You're not allowed.
All I wanted was a ball of wind. That's all I wanted. But apparently, he wants to be good today.
So
this is
with
literally the entire inverse of everything. So they've got all of Hydra now that they can act. Bert!
Wrong. They do not have all of Hydra. They actually have only 2 checks in Hydra. Speed boots. Oh man, this seed just got. Oh. Okay, so they require, in order to completely clear Hydra, he's going to need the Ball of Wind, which he doesn't have. But there is an additional check there in Hydra that he could have made, opting not to do it. Instead, wanting to take a couple of big blasts to the face from Bert there. And, you know, almost taking a death. That would have been kind of humorous to see. But,
oh, no.
makes his way out.
Demerine went to try to go up Saber North and forgot to talk to the rabbit.
Oops. In fact, Demerine... I don't think Demerine's made the alarm flute check yet, which means not having stepped on the tile behind Zebu after having talked to him.
You're right. That's why all the villagers are still there. Oh, no.
Correct. The kidnapping has not been triggered yet, and Demerine is a little confused as to what she's... That is really dangerous, because in this game, the speed boosts actually increase your movement speed by a half of a pixel per movement speed, or half of a tile per movement speed. And the issue there is that as long as the gap is for Tornel having the speed boots and Demerine not being able to find them, is going to put Demerine further and further and further and further behind. So this is actually a really tough position to be in. Looks like Demerine has figured out what it is she missed. But yeah, that puts her in a tough position here, because Tornel with those speed boots is going to be flying through the maps at this point, and he's going to make a ton of really quick checks here. And it's going to be up to Demerine here to catch up. And there's a Mimic! We did it! We found one!
I'm so happy! I'm not starved anymore! I can feel the power!
I have never been so happy to see a Mimic in my life. We did it!
We got there. High five!
Yep, 27 minutes in. There it is, first Mimic. All right, so Tornel's going to head into Dragon here. And Dragon is a special fight, because Dragon has no iframes. Normal monsters have 8 iframes, or 8 frames of invincibility after each hit. Dragon has none. This means when you blast him, he takes FU damage and dies really fast, especially when you use something like the Sword of Thunderstorm, or if you have a level 3 sword and just stab the crap out of him, he drops like a rock.
Wait, we were at Dragon? I blinked.
Yeah, no, he was there for about 5 total frames.
Oh, that's unfortunate. I gotta stop blinking
however,
so long.
Demerine has triggered the kidnapping and leave and talked to the rabbit, so she now has access to Mount Saber North, which is good, because that means that she's going to get the progression that she needs in order to be able to catch up a little bit here to Tornel. Let's hope she makes the correct choices here, and we should see a race real quick.
Speaking of Tornel, he did make a checkpoint here in Oasis Cave, so if he doesn't like what he finds in the bottom here, he will warp out just to keep that scaling down lower. So good choice by him to do that. And because he's got at least the ball for his Sword of Thunder, he's going to be able to check everything. And that's refresh. That's a great find. So I highly doubt he's going to reset out of that.
Yeah, we will not be seeing a reset out of here. There will be a walk out of this, or a warp out, one of the two. And because of that, as you mentioned, because of that Sword of Thunder, this is a full clear. Psycho Shield! That's going to protect them from the paralysis status effect and the petrification status effect. Now, the game manual will tell you that the Psycho Shield also protects from poison, but the game's a liar, and so is the manual. Because poison is actually a physical status effect, and your shield has absolutely no effect of your physical defense whatsoever. It only affects projectiles. And projectiles cannot poison. Likewise, you cannot get petrified nor paralyzed from physical damage. They only come from projectiles. So the Psycho Shield is fantastic, provides really strong defense, not the highest in the game as it is in the base game, but still strong defense, and protects them from those nasty status effects they want nothing to do with. So that's a great find. That's a shield you wear the entire game, unless you run into Warlocks and have a Sacred Shield. Now, why is that, Goes? And what's the Sacred Shield do that the Psycho Shield doesn't?
Oh man, he's asking the tough questions today. So that difference would be turning you into a happy little slime guy called Nooper. And you can only cure that by using the Fruit of Repun, or actually transitioning to another screen. So if you actually are like turned into a Nooper right at the end of an area, and you can actually get out by moving to the next area, you're going to revert back to your normal boy state.
Demerine taking an opportunity here to go ahead and farm a little experience. Now, while this is going to be nice for her in terms of experience gain, it is putting her further and further behind. We got to keep mentioning this here, because the longer Tornel has a speed boost, the further and further ahead he's going to get. So this is you know, the more safe Demerine plays it, the more she's going to be behind. So hopefully in Demerine's case here, she decides to go ahead and get a move on here and stop the grind, because that's going to put her behind further and further.
Speaking of that, we did just find our second Mimic and a Statue of Onyx. So we've got a little bit of progression right now with the Statue of Onyx. Tornel just find some Warp Boots as well. He's got a couple more checks. I wonder if he's going to Out of Logic Carmine using Flight. And there's Mimic number 3.
I would absolutely Out of Logic Carmine this way. Boom, son! Oh, baby! That is one of the 3 items necessary to access the end of the game. We are 33.3, repeating, of course, percent of the way that we need in order to complete the...
Well, see, it's funny you say that, because that's just counting the items. That's not counting the Flight spell that they have. So...
forget the Flight spell. They already have it. Well, okay, Tornel already have it.
Okay.
So our old boy Carmine here is going to get absolutely flattened. He survived the thunderstorm, which is actually kind of surprising. But then again, looking at the scaling numbers,
oh, man.
Tornel's already at 30 scaling. Look at this. Wow.
Okay. I just got to point out something. So he out of logic that, got rewarded with the Ivory Statue, which he can literally turn in right here. And he also got rewarded with the Key to Stixie, which you talked about earlier that we were going to see an intro to. I imagine he's going to go over and go check out Hydra.
I just want to point something out here. Carmine himself holding onto the Ivory Statue is a Fred moment. Oh, making a quick stop over here to get the Statue of Onyx, and he's rewarded with an antidote. Whap, whap, whap.
Well, the other good reason about this is that he can actually go, and he is doing it. He's going to be able to check out Amazons, so he's going to get the basement item there. And if he wants to, and I feel like he should, he could go over and check the Vanilla Tornado Bracelet location. That would definitely help out. Did he just? Yes, he did. He used paralysis strats.
Ha ha! Demerine needs to be careful. She's almost died twice. What are you doing to us, Demerine?
That's a ball of wind in the basement. That's huge.
Ooh, that's a big... That means now, heading back to a Hydra, if they decide to do it, that'll give him access to fully clearing the Bow of Sun location. Oh, but he's going to go back to Bryn Mawr, and he's going to make the Vampire Play Cave. So this is 3 more checks he's going to be able to get here as a result of this. You know, he does have that Key of Stixie, and he also has access to that full clear of Hydra, so that is a big play here, but I do not fault him at all for absolutely waxing the Vampire here and making these 3 checks. Change! What are you doing to us, game?
You wanted checks? I'm gonna show you checks. Here's the change spell. Now you can go talk to that silly rabbit, even though you already did the pyramid check. So you can think twice about what you're gonna get here. He's got 1 more item that he can get out of the Windmill Cave here. With change, since he already has the Ivory Statue too, that does open up the Brokahana check in Goa, the village of Goa there. So, man.
Yeah, that change spell is a strong pair of checks, because both of them are like 3 total seconds combined. With the speed boots, they are super fast.
Man, that's just good. You want checks on checks on checks? We got you.
Dude, Tornel's routing at this point is making him look like an absolute genius, despite the fact that, you know, he's got no idea what he's looking for here. He just happened to luck into the right spots, but every play he makes is the right one. This is amazing.
Right play. There's the warrior ring. So he grinded up, yeah, but now he's just got free level movement too. So if he has to go through any scaling point, he might switch to that. I doubt it at this point, but he might.
This is starting to look like an absolute landslide of a match. I hate to say it, but Demerine has a humongous hill to climb in order to get remotely close to Tornel at this point. This is, I mean, if you just look at the scaling number, which is to the right there of what their level is, that's a 13 key item spread, and we're only 35 minutes into this run. So Demerine has a ginormous hill to climb up here to get back to being competitive with this one. And I feel, like I said, if Tornel makes a couple more checks here, we could see an absolute landslide of a match here. Magic? Just with a little bit of luck.
I just got a really weird vibe from all the items that we got. And I just realized something. We still don't have the Sword of Water. You mentioned earlier that I am the king of dolphin percent. We might see it.
That'd be awesome, dude. Both fighting out on the dolphin.
There's
what a troll. Mimic 4, there it is. Out on the ledge, hiding out, waiting for someone to come across, hoping to take a bite at a crime like McGruff. That Mimic was chilling out on that ledge, and Tornel says, nope, and bones right out.
And while he did find our fourth Mimic here, Demerine did find Flight, so is opened up here to the world and is going to start catching up here. So this is definitely good for Demerine. We just need to make sure that kind of routes it into the most possible locations that we can get to. We know still need that Sword of Wind, and they're going to have to go back to the basement there in Amazons to get the ball.
Well, a humongous disappointment here, because if that chest that Tornel just picked up that was that Fruit of Reppin happened to be the Bow of Moon, we could have seen this gap close tremendously if Demerine decided to make that play. She doesn't, and she looks like she's going to head down towards Sahara and the Goa basement, the Carmine's basement. And Tornel's going to go ahead and grind off of these Medusas. I can't say I blame him. You know, at his scaling, these Medusas are going to give somewhere in the neighborhood of about 3,000 experience. So why not? They're essentially free kills at this point, so why wouldn't you bother?
Oh, that's a flame bracelet.
Well, that puts Evil Spirit Island completion into logic, that's for sure. So, you know, the big thing to come off of Mount Hydra here is that flame bracelet, which does put Evil Spirit Island completely into logic at this point. So that means we can see a complete full clear here if they decide to go back there. But it looks like Tornel's going to go ahead and walk out of the cave here. I don't blame him for this because Stixie's not that far away. And there are 6 checks he can make there, so not a bad play. Demerine, meanwhile, deciding I'm going to go ahead and make this play here into the Oasis Cave, and I'm going to head right into the basement right thereafter. Not a terrible play. Personally, I would go to Sahara myself, and the reason for that is so I can get the warp point there to easily get back later, and it's actually slightly closer to the Oasis Cave than it is to run from Goa. So that, you know, routing decisions aside, still a strong play. A lot of checks here.
It is very true. Demerine did get refreshed, so all of our runners are always happy to see that. Meanwhile, Tornel here is showing off the flight manipulation here with the statues and trying to make his way through unscathed, but he's getting hit a little bit. It is actually kind of hard to do if you're trying to do it fast. So
just a little bit. Man, he about took a dirt nap there. He dirt napped and that almost.
I mean, he's got an opal. There's a Mimic!
Now, here's the thing. That would have been extraordinarily bad if somehow he managed to take a death there, because he would have had to do all of Hydra again, too, and get back that flame bracelet, which is all the way at the top of the mountain.
Definitely would have helped out, help close that gap that Demerine is currently facing. Did stop and go there for the teleport point. Is heading back down here. It looks like Demerine might be going to Sahara. I'm not sure.
Now, I did mention that there was a 14 or 13 key item gap here between the two of them. That's actually closed down to 10, and before long here should close down to 8. Now, depending on what else Tornel finds here, that could widen a little bit, but Demerine has made up a little bit of ground here, as the checks that Tornel's having to make at this point are considerably more spread out than the condensed checks that Demerine's able to make. So that will help a little bit. Now, the downside to that is that Demerine is probably going to make a lot of the same checks because they are very efficient. So that is a very thing. Looks like we're going to see a Brokahana, though.
So it is worth noting, Tornel not only getting us halfway there with Mimic 6, but it's worth noting that also got the Lysis plant. So that's another check with change, really quick to get to, and has the work point to Amazons. So we're gonna go really quick here. And there's a bowl of moon.
Wow, we're gonna see a play here. Never mind, I'm talking too much. He's not going to go to the crypt. He's going to go ahead and turn in that Carissa plant cave here. But, man, if this turns out to be the play, this one's over. Well, that's a tornado bracelet, which is beneficial in a couple of ways. Number one, do have access to Kelbesk 1 and 2 at this point, which are both now in Logic, but that also gives them the extra check at the top of Mount Saber North. However, Tornel, having both the Bow of Sun and Moon here, is going to run straight to the crypt, and this is what you call a G-Brain play, because if the Bow of Truth is hiding out there in the crypt, this run's done. He's finished. However, if it's not, then it's a very deeply out-of-the-way check for a whole lot of potentially nothing. And let's be honest here, he's done a lot of Add Logic playing, so he could have actually done this a long time ago. Question from chat, have they done Pyramid yet? Yes, they have. Another question in chat about, did they find anything decent in Stixie? As Gozen mentioned, they did find the Carissa plant, which turned into nothing, but they also found the Recover spell, which is nice to have, but not progression. Tornel, meanwhile, here, finally making his way into the crypt. We're going to take a look and see what we find here. There are 2 checks. One on the left side in the second room here, and one in the right side of the third room. And so this could either be game at this point, or it could be a whole lot of medical herb. Good job. Come on, I'm hoping for a Fruit of Lime in the other chest. That's what I want to see. Fruit of Lime.
I know you love your favorite item, but I'm hoping for a Mimic, because I love seeing Mimics in the crypt. It's just extra insult to injury, because 9 times out of 10, they will check it from the top. They will not take the time to go to the side, so they'll get bonked.
I love Fruit of Limes when someone else finds them. I don't love... Oh. Look at that! It's a... Oh, come on. Oh, please, come on. Please.
Oh, it's
please.
a magic ring.
Oh, it's a magic... Man. I was about to get really, really excited. I could feel myself getting excited. Like the kind of excitement you get when you open an ice-cold Lagunitas that I just opened.
That's a nice drink right there. Tornel is going back here to Portoa and finally utilizing the key here, because we do have that Sword of Wind and the Tornado Bracelet. I'm a little surprised that it actually didn't go out towards Evil Spirit Island, because that is the next highest density location check. So it's definitely an option that I'm surprised he didn't take. But it is good that he is coming in here to clear this out, as this is the last check, and then he can go right back in and get the paralysis location. For that, he's going to utilize the Warrior Ring here to fire off those level 1 charges, just as his sword stab here, and quickly make work of General Kelbesk. And has the Ball of Water. And
the Ball of Water. Ring. The Ball of Water and the Shield Ring, those are 2 unnecessary items at this point now. Until they find the Sword of Water, that Ball of Water does nothing. And the Shield Ring, they got everything else they need at this point. That is essentially a useless. Now, take note here. Tornel is already at 41 scaling here at 43.5 minutes into the seed. The maximum scaling value is 47, and if I'm not mistaken, there are a grand total of 51 key items, which means there's not a lot left. There's a lot of checks, but there's not a lot of items left in the pool for the number of checks that are left. You got 6 items in Evil Spirit Island. You got 4 items in the Fog Lamp Cave. You got 2 items in the Crease Plate. You got 14 items in Goa Fortress. And all those items total, there's a grand total of 10 items left, which means we got a lot of mimics, a lot of consumables, and a lot of garbage they aren't going to want to see.
I am so excited right now. While all this was happening, Demerine did get the ball win from the basement of Amazon's there, and went through the backside of Windmill Cave, going here right now, fighting Vampire. Gonna make fairly quick work of that. And Tornel finds another Mimic.
Great success. I'm actually kind of surprised here. The Vampire is vulnerable to the Sword of Thunder, and Demerine does have a much more damaging option, 4 additional damage per swing, opting to instead stick with that Sword of Wind. So it is a slower, and she does find her change spell, which means she's going to be able to make a lot of those plays that Tornel did, and get that Bow of Moon pretty much, you know, really quickly, especially if she makes the out-of-logic play to Carmine.
How out of logic is it? Because the runners do have refresh.
It is entirely out of logic because the logic requires that Barrier actually be available in order to get through the statues in Stixie, the statues in the front of Goa, and the statues to Carmine. So Barrier for this flag set is entirely required. And Tornel finding the power ring in the waterway here in Stixie, that is a beautiful item. So that's going to double the power of whatever the current power of any sword that they have is. And we got a flying bug there over that elevator. I don't know if you noticed it there, but that bug was walking on air. But Tornel skipped the chest.
Nope, he's making a checkpoint.
Oh, never mind.
He's gonna keep his scaling down if it's something stupid that he doesn't want. Like Sacred Shield, he should reset. He should reset. You made the checkpoint. He didn't do it.
Well, I mean, you got to think. At his level and scaling, the Sacred Shield is actually more damage. And if he happens to run into a hallway full of butterflies and warlocks and he wants to fly over them, he will be immune to the Curse Beam. So not a terrible item to not leave behind. I'm not actually surprised that he didn't leave that one. Demerine, meanwhile, headed back out onto the ocean. Gonna go ahead and head straight into Evil Spirit Island here. So as far as we're concerned, not too far off of Tornel's heels here.
Speaking of Evil Spirit Island, Tornel found Mimic number 8. We have 4 left. Matrick, get hyped.
Dude, I'm always hyped. Have you heard me commentating this entire race? I am always hyped. And look at that. There was a vampire on screen for about, I don't know, a couple of flashes, and we have a vampire gone. So look at that power ring in action, completely destroying that boss.
So, funny thing, Tornel now has the Blizzard Bracelet. What are the odds that he actually auto-logics the front door to Goa and finds the Sword of Water up there?
Well, it wouldn't... I mean, could be. But here's the issue. They still have to go check Tornel at the top of Mount Saber South. That could actually be our Sword of Water.
But if they do that, then they're going to go complete the Dolphin percent with the Bow of Truth.
I mean, no. Because the Dolphin's not guaranteed to have anything. The Dolphin could be hiding a Fruit of Lime in its bill, beak, whatever the hell you want to call it. What exactly would you call that? A snout?
No, it's technically a mouth.
It's a mouth. Okay, so the Dolphin could vomit a medical herb back out at you. It could also vomit out a Fruit of Lime, which was making it sick. And I would not be disappointed if that was the case, if they find the Sword of Water here on Clark. Never mind, he's got a consumable and nobody cares, so we're moving on. Tornel going to go ahead and heal himself up here, and he's going to head over to the Fog Lamp and Trace Plant Cave. It's another 6 checks. Now, the Fog Lamp Cave has 3 chests that are close to the beginning and 1 that is in East BFE. It is a super deep check for 1 chest. And so, you know, that's quite a check to have to make there. Demerine, meanwhile, resetting out of that Mimic and going to head back into the Vampire side here. Not going to find a whole lot over here on the right side of Evil Spirit Island. It was actually kind of a lame Evil Spirit Island. Outside of that power ring, not a whole lot here. But as I mentioned before, you know, there are a lot more locations than there are decent items, so I'm not entirely surprised to see that. Demerine, meanwhile, once again, opting to fight the vampire with a level 2 sword. I'm guessing she just doesn't know the vampire is vulnerable to all swords except fire. So I'm not entirely certain what the logic behind that is. Tornel opting to leave that consumable behind. No surprise there. And a Mimic! Mimic number 9!
Only 3 remain.
Is this round 9? Fight?
Test your might. I mean, wrong game.
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. Unfortunately, with all the opal statues these guys have, we're not going to see any fatality.
It is definitely possible. I know Demerine already used one. I think Tornel still has one. Yeah, right now Demerine does not have any.
2.
Does he really? Okay.
Oh, that's a bummer. Yeah, I think he's got 2. Last time I checked, he had 2. And I don't think he's taken to death. Tornel plays a little more safe than some of the other runners. Despite the fact that he's a very high-level runner, he does play a lot of things pretty safe, so it does pay off. Another consumable! Look at this! Demerine opting to make an analogic play here on Sabera. With the Warrior Ring, I'm not surprised at all to see this. The Warrior Ring basically takes bosses that would normally require the bracelet and makes them very killable because the Warrior Ring is just so powerful. I'm not at all surprised for this, but I'll tell you what's going to be surprised. Demerine, when she sees that both Sabera and Clark have absolute crap. A double consumable there. Tornel going through the Crease Plant Cave here, finding a whole bunch of purple beholders, and those purple eyeballs, they are only vulnerable to the Sword of Water. And look at that Mimic, a complete bodying and a waste of an opal statue. I actually feel good about that Mimic. You have done God's work today there, Mimic.
That's the MVP enemy of the game right now. He consumed an opal, and he stored that in his chest.
Straight up. He literally reached into his backpack and jacked that opal statue from him. And the best thing about Mimics is Mimics are actually considered both terrestrial and flying enemies. Therefore, you can't fly over them like you can most other enemies, which is why Tornel tried and got completely bodied. And our good friend here, the Crystalis Plant Cave, back in the meadow, holding a magic ring. Tornel not caring, immediately loading out. I am not at all surprised to see this.
But he's gonna make that tornado bracelet, champ, like we mentioned before. He's going right to Saber West.
He's gonna talk to himself. We're gonna have Tornelception here. Demerine, meanwhile, right on the heels of Tornel here, going through the fog lamp, gonna find a whole lot of nothing for her time, and is gonna feel really bad when she gets to the end of this cave. Unfortunately here, it looks like Goa has all of the rest of the items in it because they've pretty much made the vast majority of plays around the outside of Goa Fortress, and they aren't coming up with a whole lot of anything. Never mind, there's the Bow of Truth! Look at that! It's at the Tornado Bracelet location!
The Mimic percent has been killed.
Well, not entirely here, because we have no idea when Demerine's going to decide to go back and check that location. So, Tornel here is going to go ahead and check out the shop here. He's going to buy a couple of medical herbs just to give him a slight amount of extra survivability. Granted, he does have the refresh spell, so they probably aren't going to come into play. He also has 2 mimics, or 2 opal statues, and he's probably got 2 mimics in his inventory hiding somewhere too. He's found everything else at this point. I'm not surprised. But he's going to make his play here. We're going to see a Dragon 2 really quickly. He's at level 12, which means no grinding is necessary. This should be a wrap.
And unfortunately, Demerine got bodied by a skeleton after opening a sealed wall, landing on it from dropping from flight, and unfortunately did take a death there, so it does have to redo Foglamp Cave.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because, you know, again, as I mentioned, a long cave with a whole lot of nothing in it. Tornel, meanwhile, making his way back through the crypt. We've already seen all this stuff here, but we're going to make a left right at this fork as opposed to on the right side, where we went to the chest before. And the left path is going to take us to our penultimate final boss, Dragon 2, and Butterflies Ho! Butterflies suck, shadows suck, and you know what? That last hallway sucked. Let's just be honest here. That was not a good... But you know what? I noticed something here. They're missing one spell. Do you happen to take note of what that spell is?
Oh, you mean the barrier spell?
Yeah, they're missing the barrier spell. That's going to make the final boss fight a little more challenging.
Oh, we know Tornel has at least one oval left. So, shouldn't be too terrible with the amount of iframes, but he's definitely going to clear out the side turrets.
Getting a little lucky here that he fired off that thunderstorm right after Dragon went vulnerable or invulnerable, and then he immediately reopened, so it didn't waste most of it. And then a third thunderstorm, Dragon 2 is down, revealing that our friend Azteca is actually the alter ego of Dragon and perishes as well, and we are into the final area of the game, the tower. So the tower is special for two reasons. Number one, any scaling that happens outside of the tower is doubled for all the tower monsters once you get inside the tower. This means that the ultimate challenge of the game is within the tower, and a large percentage of it goes to these stupid helicopters that are flying around. Because as we know, helicopters fall into the category of birds, and anybody that's ever played an RPG knows all birds are jerks, including helicopters. Especially helicopters. So the basic premise of the tower here is you have to kill the 3 bronze robots. And when you kill the 3 bronze robots, it causes these doorways to spawn the white robots. And when you kill the Ed 209 white robots, that causes the stairs to the next floor appear. Now, the tower is broken up into 3 sections, which are separated by 3 different, what they call seamless transitions. They're basically the same idea as an exit that you would find in a cave or anything. And so basically the tower is consisting of 3 separate cave systems, if you will, that are separated by a staircase. And so going up the staircase despawns the previous floor and respawns the next floor. Now, if you happen to walk down an elevator, you will actually respawn the previous floor as well as respawn the floor that you just left. So if the runners aren't careful or they don't realize that that's a thing, then they could actually chase a robot down the stairs and reset their entire progress. Now, I don't see that happening here, but that is a very real possibility if the runners are not as informed of the way that the tower actually works. Tornel, onto the 3rd floor now. There are 3 floors, as I mentioned. Once they complete the 3rd floor, he's going to be on to grabbing the Crystalis sword, and it's off to the final boss. We should see a completion here. Probably a sub-hour run for Tornel. This was a strong run considering what this seed gave. The early game was pretty nasty and really sent them kind of all over Hell's Half Acre just to be able to, figure out what kind of progression that they had available to them. So this was not a fun seed, Goes, and you rolled a real donger right here, and I'm going to give you a double metric thumbs up on that one, and a troll slime grand. This was a winner.
I greatly appreciate that. Fun fact, speaking of progression, Demerine did just find barrier. It was on Dio. That rascally rabbit loves to hold progression anytime I roll a seed. So yes, this was a double thumbs up slime face. This is perfect.
Tornel, meanwhile, hitting up all his menuing here. He's going to go ahead and equip the power ring. He's going to head right on up into the Dynamite here. The Dynamite has been buffed from the base version here, so the turrets are going to actually fire in kind of a spread pattern. And the wave beams now that come as the counterattacks from Dyna's turrets on the sides, they actually block your projectiles as well as do like absolutely obnoxious damage. And there's no real way to stop them. Even the barrier spell won't stop them. They will go right through it here. So Tornel deciding he's just going to try to man mode this, and he's burned both of his opal statues. He better be careful at this point. Dyna still has a ton of health left, and he doesn't really have a lot of tools to work with. So this could... Oh, man, look at this.
Oh!
taking the death. Let's see an F in chat. Once again, today's stream brought to you by the letter F. Taking a death on the final boss there. That's a rough one. So Tornel going to have to go ahead and make another attempt at Dinah here. I will not be surprised if he goes straight for the turrets this time, just to try to make this a little easier on himself. And it looks like that's exactly what he's going to... And as you can see here, the turrets on the sides actually, I believe, have 255 HP. Now, because the swords in this game, something we didn't actually mention before, the swords in this game are progressive. So if you have just a base sword and no balls or bracelets, you actually have a base damage of 2. If you manage to pick up a ball, that doubles to 4. And if you pick up a bracelet, that doubles once again to 8. So when you pick up the Crystalis sword here, you actually drop from whatever your base damage of your previous sword was and go back down to 2 damage. The power ring is going to double the damage of your current sword, and this means that he's going to be doing 4 damage per shot, plus the 16 that the Crystalis projectile does, as well as the additional 12 that he's got for his level, minus the defense of Dinah itself. So, taking care of Dinah here is Tornel. He's going to finish with an official SRL time of 1 hour and 22 seconds. GG to Tornel on this race. It looks like Demerine here has forfeited as well. She mentions in the Discord or in the SRL channel that she thanks Tornel for mercy killing her run. So this one is over at this point. We should have both of our runners in here shortly. Get a couple of post-game interviews here. Let's talk about this and see what we have to say for both of these runners. And Demerine making her way into the chat first here. Demerine, how are you tonight?
Tired. I'm going to bed.
So let's get this out of the way. I want in 5 words or less what you think about this.
Let me guess. It was at Tornel's chest, a tornado bracelet.
No, but that's also more than 5 words. No, the tornado bracelet was actually not at Tornel's location. Tornel didn't actually have a whole lot of anything because we actually didn't check it. So the spot, the big thing here was that Tornel, it seemed like every play he made gave him progression. I mean, it wasn't until very late game when he was running out of a lot of other locations to go to that he started running into spots that had a whole bunch of nothing, like Fog Lamp and Crazy Plant Cave. He also made a couple of Adologic plays by using the flight spell to get past statues and get to Carmine and get to Stixie, and made a couple of checks that way. And Carmine was the huge separator here between the two of you.
That's fair. I was like, that was my next stop when my run happily got mercy killed here.
Now, here's something kind of humorous. You mentioned that Carmine was your next stop.
Yep.
So you picked up the barrier spell off of our old friend Dio there outside of Sahara. Tornel never checked Dio. He actually used the flight spell to do all of those checks. And he's laughing now, but we were kind of laughing as he was going into the tower going, wait a minute, he's missing 1 critical spell.
It's fine.
I knew I missed something obvious somewhere. I couldn't think of Dio for whatever reason.
I mean,
sure
you missed
did.
2 something obviouses, and you had to think about the first one that you missed for a hot minute.
Oh, the love pendant thing? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I tried the man mode Dinah. Didn't work.
You didn't whisper sweet nothings. You forgot to whisper sweet nothings to our robot masters.
I was like, I hope this doesn't cost me the race. That had been Axeman that cost me the race.
You know you almost had a chest location named after you again?
Almost, but didn't happen.
It came really close.
Do you know what location that is?
I mean, other than love pendant, which one are you talking about?
Oh, it was
The one with the bow, you mean?
It was totally the love pendant check. So, interestingly, that paralysis spot at the Love Pendant location, Demerine made that play immediately after having gotten onto the ocean. And you, for whatever reason, decided to just completely ignore the location. And when you fully cleared the map around there, and the only spot that you possibly had left was that Love Pendant, we saw you sit in the menu going, what did I miss? What did I miss?
I can actually explain that somewhat.
Hit
So
me.
when I first got to the ocean, for some reason I thought I had access to Evil Spirit. So I was like, well, I'll just stop by Joel and I'll go hit Evil Spirit really quick, and I'll stop by Lipton on the way. Well, I realized I couldn't go Evil Spirit. I just left. And it totally just screwed me for a while there.
Well, I wouldn't say it screwed you. It just slowed you. How's that?
Yeah,
Now,
definitely
here
slowed
was
me down.
This was the other thing. You picked up those speed boots pretty quick. And unfortunately, in Demerine's case, as I mentioned a couple of times during the run, the longer that one player has speed boots and the other doesn't is simply a wider gap that you just don't close. Because the faster move speed of the speed boots is you'll never get faster than that. So you're just losing time. And that was a huge thing, because once you picked up those speed boots, you kind of started flying through the map. And it took Demerine a while to be able to, piece together the puzzle the rest of the way to be able to get through to pick up the flight spell off of Kensu. And that was, by that point, you I think you were 14 key items ahead when Demerine picked up flight. And it really kind of was landsliding at that point, because you had the speed boots for probably 15 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a huge difference between the two of you.
So I'm really curious how many mimics we found, because I know I found a lot.
Okay, so the grand total at the end of the day was 10, if I'm not mistaken,
Wow.
if I
That
kept
is
my count right.
correct.
10 was the total of mimics, and the number of mimics shall be 10. Now, here's the great part about it. That tells us that based on the number of locations that you checked and what you had left, that both of those last mimics were in Goa. They were in Goa Fortress. It was the only place in the entire game nobody checked.
Right.
Well, besides Carmine's area, but nobody went into Goa Fortress proper, which means they were either in Sabera's area or Mado's area, because every other possible mimic location in the game was.
I'm kind of glad I didn't find Barrier now, because I probably would have done Goa.
Well,
I
mean,
I would have appreciated that.
let's be honest here. You actually had access to Goa. I mean, to Goa
Yeah.
logically, really early, because you could have gone back to Dio at any given.
Right.
So yeah, that was very much a thing. Well, okay, so heading into the bracket stages here, that's gonna put you in a 3-1 match, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
So that puts you up in the category with Axeman, and currently myself and Nightdew, as well as I think there's one other that's
Dragon
going to
Dark, I
be-
think.
Yes, he will be. Well, he has a match this week still, so
Oh,
if
okay,
that
yeah,
match
bye
goes
thing.
well, he will be 3-1. If it doesn't, he'll be 2-2. We'll have to see how that goes. But he is the next one that potentially has it. So now that you've seen what the flag sets look like, do you have any reservations or anything interesting that you'd like to talk about with regards to the bracket stages coming up? Because they are a considerably different flag.
I'm just excited to have some different flags. Some more skill-driven flags as well.
Yes. So, I mean, that's kind of the reality of this. The way that the Swiss bracket was designed was so it would be extraordinarily accessible to all runners. And part of that is that luck can play a really large factor here in these flag sets. And we've actually seen it in a number of races up to this point. So it's not really surprising that we've had some major upsets in a couple of places and some other people whose skill level is far greater than what their actual standing, what their actual record shows. It's happened. And so when we get into the bracket stages and we put the story mode flag on, that's going to force everybody to collect all the swords and clear all the bosses. Nobody found the Sword of Water in this flag set. Nobody.
No.
That will not happen in the next flag set. You will have to have all of the swords and kill all of the major bosses, vampires and giant insecticide. So yes,
Really?
Skill in combat will take a much greater role, as well as your routing, than just luck of did I make the right choice.
I'm excited for Ghetto Flight.
Yeah. So that's actually something we should mention here. There are a couple of glitches that are actually going to be present in the next set of flags that are not present in the current run. So one of the things that's kind of beautiful about the way our randomizers is that we actually give the players the option of turning on or off specific glitches. That includes things like Ghetto Flight, Shop Glitch, Teleport Skip, Rabbit Skip. There's Statue Glitch. There's a number of them. And in the flag sets, starting with the bracket stage and coming all the way to the end of it, we're going to see increasing amounts of glitches being something that's prevalent in the runs. And if you're actually not proficient in those, that could actually spell doom for you. And so, those are things that are potential, stuff coming up. Like Ghetto Flight is something that's used in the speedrun, but as far as the randomizer is concerned at this point, with regards to the tournament, Ghetto Flight is not part of the logic, and so nobody's used it. I have to consider that in my next race.
For some reason, I thought it was disabled, but you can't even disable that one, can you? I don't know why I thought that.
You can disable it logically, but it's actually not realistically possible, at least by my knowledge, to disable it physically. Unlike things like Shop Glitch or Teleport Skip or, those things. And yes, our old boy Stom, poor DH Stom's gonna be taking a dirt nap in literally every race of the tournament once the bracket stage starts. And if we're lucky, we're going to see a whole lot of people coming up with great memes for our old boys. I'm counting on you, tournament runners. Show Stom the business.
You leave my people alone, okay?
No time for memes in the brackets. I'm going to go out of my way and say you are incorrect there, sir. There's always time for me. If you've got an extra 4 seconds to spend on a meme and you lost a race because of those 4 seconds, it was worth losing. Because the memes are absolutely the dreams that keep us all going here in real life. Well, Tornel, do you got anything else you'd like to add to today's run?
Just I'm disappointed that the last bow wasn't crypt. I tried.
You want to know where Gozen and I won?
No.
All right, fine. I'm not going to tell you then. I'll tell everybody else. We wanted it on the Dolphin.
That would have been funny, because I thought about doing that glitch. I don't know if there was a flyer there or not, but I considered it.
Yeah, I didn't actually notice myself.
I didn't see one going through.
That, and I almost had a hitless tower all the way up to Crystalis. Almost.
I mean, granted, you had the Sword of Thunder.
True, but...
It's not like you did a hitless tower.
I didn't have barrier, though.
No, that's true, but you didn't do I would personally myself feel like if you did a hitless tower with wind or water, I will give you the double magic thumbs up, and I will praise you for that. But if you tell me you got a hitless tower with fire or thunder, I'll tell you golf clap, because that's considerably easier than the other swords. Not taking anything away skill-wise, but the reality of it is that is a considerably easier tower than the rest of the things are. All right, well, as we have gone ahead and wrapped this one up here, once again, for SpeedGaming here, thanking you guys for hosting our tournament. I am Matrick alongside Gozen Gada that was here for commentary. Make sure you follow Gozen. Make sure you follow both of our runners, Demerine 2 as well as Tornel357. And I have been Matrick here. talking crap and being crazy the entire time. So thank you all, and hope you guys had a great time with today's race. And we will see you guys all on the next one, which we don't actually have scheduled yet, but there are another 3 runs. So I am looking forward to the rest of these. And then coming up next year after AGDQ ends will be the bracket stage, which you guys will see a considerably different flag set than if you've been following this tournament up to this point, what you have seen till now. Gozen, you want to sign us out? Here we go.
If you haven't already, go check out that randomizer too. It's really fun. You can custom tailor, and I hear the people in the Discord are super friendly. Once again, thank you, SpeedGaming, for hosting this. We are signing out. Hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Take care.